All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the special Thanksgiving edition of TRIAD Radio. This is Pick along with Marcus Welsh. Marcus, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thanksgiving. I feel like Halloween just happened. This shit comes so fast.
Yeah, it's like you don't really do much holiday anything for like 3 or 4 months, and then it all just comes at once here at the end.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like how I do things. I don't do anything for a long time and then do everything right at the wire. So,
Yeah, kind of like all of our handlers that are waiting until the weekend to post.
oh yeah, I can't wait to read 12 role plays Sunday at 10 o'clock.
It happens.
Nah, no, just jokes, everybody.
Yeah, it might even be worse this week with the holiday coming in here. People
Uh-huh.
traveling and this, that, and the other.
Oh, hey, man. Yeah, that Thanksgiving logo looks cool. I
Yeah.
appreciate the hat you gave me. It's going to keep my ears out of the sun so I won't get any skin cancer.
Yeah, that photo shoot was fun and unique for us. I really did enjoy that.
I enjoyed it. I really like the costume choice that you guys gave me. The red really makes my skin tone pop.
I, th- I thought so. You might need to be a little bit out, or I don't know, maybe go easy on the sunscreen on the face compared to the arms, though. That's
I agree. When you told me we were going to be out, by some flames, I thought we'd be out in the heat. I thought I'd light it up pretty good. I didn't know we'd be inside by an actual flame. So.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, what you been doing? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Just taking it easy, man. I just diverted a bunch of energy and stuff into other projects and just kind of stepped away for a few days. It was nice. As they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and sometimes I think you need to just kind of put some things on the back burner and walk away for a bit and then come back. And I feel good though, man. I feel better. I feel a lot better than I did the last show we did. When you do art, which is, this is some form of art, you have to have a muse, a source of creative energy. And, I've got some of that now, and it feels good. And I'm looking forward to writing the next show.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't even told you this. So, about a couple months ago, you do know about this. I don't think I said it on radio though. I had a flood at my house, if you remember.
Yeah.
And long story short, I came out of the bathroom, getting ready to go to work, and water was just pouring from my ceiling. My son's bathroom, there was a pipe that had bust, our water line, and just a bunch of chaos. So we finally got the insurance thing in, and we're starting to put some carpet in his room now and all these kind of things. And so I'm trying to save a little money. So I go and I'm thinking that I can lay like tile in my son's bathroom because I don't know why I think I can do that, but apparently I think I can.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I spent my Saturday and Sunday doing, was just ripping out all the old flooring and putting in some new stuff. And I'm almost done Sunday. Like I've got it down to probably like 4 or 5 small tiles that have to go in, and then the thing's going to look as nice as I can make it look. It doesn't look great, but whatever. And I'm using this utility knife to score these things, and it slips, and I almost cut my index finger off.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
Like it was blood everywhere. And so I went and spent like 4 hours waiting, like holding my finger together basically at the, not the ER, but the urgent care locally here, while people that had little sniffles and whatnot went ahead of me. And eventually I got five nice little stitches here, and everything's good to go. It doesn't hurt too bad, but yeah, that was my weekend. Nice, fun, relaxing, lay some tile and cut your finger off kind of thing.
Yeah, that's like that's a highly critical injury for a fed head. That's like a very debilitating injury right there on the finger.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to file an insurance claim for graphic design for the rest of the trial.
Exactly. Your graphics gonna come out looking like mine now. Yeah, sorry, I'm injured. Yeah, it's funny. I've dealt with insurance before with claims, and we had a shopping center get hit by a tornado back in like '08, '09. It's like 100,000 square foot shopping center.
Oh gosh.
And we got a big insurance. Yeah, we had a big insurance claim. It's like F3 hit it. And And we ended up hiring a general contractor to handle the insurance, and it worked perfectly. Then there was this little building in town that got a bunch of hail on it, and it had some damage, some water damage on the inside. So the manager of it, I was talking to him, and I was like, "You should get a general contractor. You can make sure the money covers everything." He said, "Oh no, I'll do it myself." We're like, "Okay." And the 100,000 square foot shopping center got everything fixed in about 3 or 4 months, and everything, the money, fit, and everything was enough to cover everything. This little space with some hail damage. This guy tried to do it himself. It took him about 11 months to get everything done, and it's awful. It's just terrible. The place is worse than it was before. So
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going, but you got to be careful with that insurance money. Make sure you use it correctly, because it'll go fast if you don't know what you're doing. So
Yeah, for absolutely, for sure. I mean, and that was the thing is like they quoted it out, and for what it was, it just seemed like that was a pretty high number. I mean, we're not talking like crazy, like thousands and thousands,
yeah.
but for what it's my son's bathroom. It's not like it's something that's seen by a bunch of people, and so I laid the pulled this things up, laid the subfloor. It wasn't too bad. It was just a long time, just me by myself.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part. And then apparently, at the end, when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you just kind of cut corners and cut fingers while you're cutting corners. So, but again, not the worst thing ever. And I really thought it was worse than it is. A lot of blood, but it ended up just being just a few stitches. So anyway,
I cut my finger real bad when I was like 23. It was 4th of July, and I'm sitting there pounding beers, and I'm talking to these two girls, and I'm like rubbing their feet in my lap, and I'm slamming this beer, and I drop it, and it breaks. And I tried to play off like I was cool, and I grabbed the glass, and I just threw it, and it just cut a chunk out of my finger. Blood flew all over the girl, so it really mad.
Yeah.
And I go to the ER, and I'm like, "Can you sew back in?" She's like, "There's nothing to sew." So I've got like this weird kind of indentation in my index finger from where just the glass beer just took a chunk out. So I can relate, man. I can relate.
Yeah, that's a war story for the next ladies that you come across.
Exactly. Yeah. Badge of honor.
All right. Well, you want to talk some EFED?
I guess. I mean, that's why we're here, So
yeah.
Let's do it.
Those out in the listening world, obviously, you're hearing. There's only 2 out of 3 of us. Bobby could not join us this evening, so we'll be flying just the 2 of us. With holidays and all that, it's just almost impossible to coordinate. So, but we'll do our best to give some one-line comments every now and then, one-word comments, and pretend like we don't know what's going on, or potentially maybe we don't know what's going on, just to make you guys feel like he's here.
We should have just got on like Craigslist and hired somebody to just come in and
we should
say things randomly. So what do you think about that, Bobby? It was cool.
We should have done that. That would have been great.
Yeah. Next time.
All right, well, let's go ahead and start by doing a quick recap of last week, if you want, and then we'll kind of do like we did the last time. We'll do that, then we'll jump into the tribulation role plays. We'll talk about what we liked, what we thought maybe could do better, and I think it's kind of a little anticlimactic this week because of the number that we got, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But anyway, so we had night 6. We had a pretty tumultuous night 5, if you recall. Good kickoff to the strength trials. We had amazing role plays the first week, but even I think in some cases, a lot of people stepped up the second time around. We maybe had some that took a small step backwards as well, but all in all, this one, 16 out of 16, we maxed out again. So now we're at I want to say like 91 out of 92 role plays for the entire trials so far. So just crazy the amount of participation that we've had, in the obviously the level of quality is pretty high. But going into night 6, we had the first 2 tag team matches that we've seen in Triad so far. And the reason we kind of scheduled these, a lot of people had some questions about it, but it came down to just a variety as far as match writing is concerned. just so you don't get bored. We don't get bored reading them. They're not all the exact same format, and it is an elimination style, so kind of fits the same category. The best role play is going to win. And we opened up with Vodka and Dionysus versus Knox and Seb. So tell us a little bit about this match.
Yeah. Okay. Well, going into this match, with Dionysus, keep him strong because that was sort of how he was portrayed in Night 5. Vodka had some adjustments to her character that was utilized. The triad being in the panties of Vincent Black. So we had that. Let's see. Raven, he's got the war with Vodka and Primer, so that was easy. And then Ted, continue to work on him as sort of this, very talented, very sort of elite type pro wrestling champion. And in writing it, I thought, Knox and Seb would work better together. Vodka sort of this angry, unhinged character, but then Raven's anger towards Vodka ended up costing Seb, and then you had Vodka take out Dionysus when she could, because everybody noticed what a beast he was the previous event, and then it comes down to Vodka and Knox, and they've been feuding on Twitter, and it went back and forth, and Vodka got the win, and that was sort of the basics behind it. I don't think a whole lot needs to be said about the role playing outside of I was really impressed with Knox, just insofar as it was the best work I've seen him do in Triad. I thought he really took a step up. All the other role players were good too, and everybody got the feedback, but he just kind of stands out to me as sort of taking a step up from his work in the previous trials. So.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Not that it was great stuff before anyway, but it was definitely, in my opinion, kind of like what you just said, just probably the best work we've seen from him so far, which obviously he's going to be motivated every time out, but this one was just kind of even more so. I think he landed in the top 5 for the week of overall role plays, which is always a double-edged sword whenever you hear that, because it's I was one of the best this week and didn't win, which can be discouraging at times. But it's just the luck of the draw, for lack of a better way of saying it. The way that these matches were set up, I had the schedule made based off of draft pick numbers before the draft. So not only was Knox originally not drafted, but the spot that he took was Team TLS's number 4 pick. So he's kind of in over his head anyway to a certain degree based off of the opponents in a match like that, because he's a number 4 going against 2s, 1s, 3s, whatever. And so to come in, kind of cold, haven't been part of it at this point for this round. Really strong role play. Vodka obviously came in hot this week, and both Dionysus and Seb had really good stuff. It just came against the wrong opponents, I think, which does happen sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that popped in my head, I was thinking about this, I don't know, one day last week. And, it came down to Knox and Vodka, and it's like, oh, how convenient, the 2 people that have been beaten. But then I'm thinking, when you interact with people on Twitter or in segments or just IC in general, it gives you more fuel in your promo. It gives you more passion versus just dropping a role play, just saying some generic stuff. And I think that stuff translates into promo, and it makes for a stronger promo.
Yeah.
And in saying that, it's sort of me kind of telling people, if you engage more with people and get into some stuff with people, it'll give you more of a foothold into your promo moving forward, and it might give the promo some more relevancy and some more bite versus just, this guy's done this, but I've done, you know what I mean, the generic stuff that you spew when you don't really know what to say to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, there's, and partly, I mean, I don't want to say it's unfair, but how long have they known each other? How many times probably in the past have they gone against each other in one way or another? So there's a lot to pull from, but then on the flip side of that, you've got a situation where if you've gone against somebody so many times, what can you say you haven't already said? So
That's true.
I guess there's a little bit of both sides of that. But when it comes down to it, the ones that I think this week more than anything that we scored highest tended to be where you could tell that they really did their homework, not only just against the opponents, but even in the settings.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a role play set up, if they're actually taking place in Cambodia, using the I think was it Knox? I think was he the one that used had some, I don't even know what language it was, but it was
Yeah.
a foreign language was mixed in, and those kind of things, which um, obviously you can't do a whole role play that way, but a little bit here, a little bit there, so just to keep you honest as a reader to know, hey, you're still in this weird environment that you're not used to. Those
Mm-hmm.
always tend to do well, and the more you can study up on an opponent, I think just lends to the quality of the overall experience as a reader as well.
Yeah, when you read these promos back to back to back, it becomes pretty obvious when you're reading a promo and you're like, "Oh, this person didn't do any homework. This is just generic shit." Like, oh, alias, more like failures. It's like, okay, come on, man, you didn't do any homework. Nobody said that, by the way, but you know what I mean. Where you
Yeah,
just make the name or the pick face or whatever.
yeah. Oh, man, you just ruined the thought I had if I ever went up against him. I'm gonna have to
I'm
come up.
gonna use that I'm gonna use that in commentary this week. So there you go. Spoiler alert.
Speaking of Alias, match two this past week saw Alias and Dickie Watson teaming against Johnny Backus and Spencer Adams.
Yeah, this was a good one. Trying to get my head back into. Okay, so this one was probably, I wouldn't say the toughest, but the one I had to be the most careful with because we had a big angle sort of mid-match with the appearance of Sean Warstein and his interference, and then his announcement that he will be in the WIT trial. That's a huge announcement, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, for sure.
And he wrote me a huge segment, and he wanted, he said, fit it wherever. And it was written to be sort of in the beginning of the match. But I thought, well, I think something like this should lead to a pinfall. So I decided what I would do is have Watson and Backus just sort of go at it for the first third of the match, just those two in the ring. Watson trying to beat Backus, but Backus ahead of Watson, just every step of the way, just a little bit. And then finally Watson grabs the Empire Championship, the Fight Empire Championship, and it's going to hit him with it. And then Spencer Adams steps in and was like, no, guys, come on. We're having a nice wrestling match. Let's not resort to our baser instincts. Meanwhile, Elliot is in the corner smoking his fifth cigarette. And then Warstein comes out dressed as Mancini,
Yeah.
and he lays out Adams, and then he lays out Backus, and then Watson's going to go after Adams, but Backus, pulls Watson away from Adams, like, come after me. Adams takes out Backus, pins Backus, and there's a lot of history there that goes back to fight for them to use, and Backus goes out looking like a badass. And then you have Watson and Alias. Alias comes in, forget how Watson goes after Adams or Alias was, and then Watson and Alias got into it. And then Alias tries to pin, Watson tries to pin Alias, but they're teammates. Because you kind of get lost in the, they're going so back and forth, you kind of get lost sort of in the rules of the match. You get their partner, and they're just going after each other. Then Adams comes in, takes advantage, pins Watson. And then it's down to Adams and Alias prevails. And I thought it was, I thought it was a good match. I loved writing all the characters. I really enjoy reading Dickie Watson's work. I think the writing is just very, very smooth. It's just a very smooth read. Yeah. I thought Adams improved a lot this week. Alias is good. And Backus is really good, too. I think Backus has a few tweaks just to our style. And he's going to be, he'll make up a lot of ground. But I thought all four were great, and I enjoyed writing the match.
Yeah, I mean, the match was great. It was kind of interesting when I read it. You just mentioned how in a match like that, when you're used to elimination style, like a four-way, where like Watson and Alias were kind of going back and forth with each other as well, and they kind of got lost. And the first time I read through it, I was like, wait a minute, they're on the same team. So I had to go back because of how much action there was. But it was really good, really well done. I thought with all four of them at play, you throw Warstein in there as well, which I didn't know about. One of the things I think some people maybe don't realize is we don't talk a whole lot about what you guys have planned before Will writes
Mm-hmm.
the show. A lot of times. So like when I'm reading the shows, sometimes I'm hearing about or seeing for the first time. Like I had no idea that he was wanting to put Warstein in for Witt. So that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a big shock for me in a positive way. Um, and so yeah, we don't always like we know like big picture items or whatnot, but it's kind of like the whole uh, WWE commentator. You don't want to know everything, so you can kind of keep the surprise or shock value as real as possible. So it's for those
Mm-hmm.
that maybe didn't know about that. But yeah, the match was great. The role plays were really good this week. Talking about the homework deal, um, this wasn't what tipped it necessarily in Alias's favor, but I just really appreciated um, the time he took to get the ghost ship right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you go back and read his role play, part of it takes place on the night of the finale, and there's so much going on. There's waves crashing and whatnot, and the match is taking place, inside the ship itself. But he took time to obviously read that match, to go back through all of that to get the ambiance and make it feel as if it actually was a flashback to um, what we had seen before. And it's like I said, it's the homework, it's those little things that people do that really can separate them. When it comes down to, if we're trying to really grade two different role plays, and one of them is incredibly detail oriented like that, and another maybe isn't, it certainly could tip it in the favor. I think, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more care you put into something, the more it shows.
Yeah.
And if you've got two people who are kind of dead even, and make no mistake, like a lot of these matches are very much dead even. The person who just put the little extra time and care into their work, and versus the other person who felt like they might have just rushed through it. I mean, you're going to reward the one who put the time and care into it.
Yeah.
And because that's just, they just took more time and effort into it. Oh, yeah.
All right, which brings us to the third match we had, which was the most competitive match of the evening. I think we always try to circle that one out as far as score wise. But we had, Mancini, the real Mancini, at least as far as we know, Dad Bod,
Mm-hmm.
Cat Cortez, and Steven Stratford. Um, this was a four-way match. It was not a tag team format, so it was every man or woman for themselves, and it did see Steven Stratford win in the end. So tell us a little bit about the match and how you saw all this play out.
Well, back to what you just said, the competition level in this match was insane. All four of these role plays would have won several matches in the Burger title, and would have won a couple from the previous night, night five. I mean, these were just some elite level role plays, and it's a blessing, but it's also a shame that they all had to like run up against each other in the same match. But that's how it goes. As far as the match, once the results were in, I thought to have Dad Bod look show a little more confidence in him, only to have him realize, okay, you're not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good night five, but you're not physically and competitively on the level of these other three, and his temporary hubris costing him. And then let's see, it was Mancini, Tat, and Stratford. Then Mancini, you got to figure out, he's menacing, he's a tough guy, he's a badass. He wrote such a good role play.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to give him the Dionysus treatment, to where it took Tat and Strat to get him out of there, because he was just so good in his role play. And then it's down to Strat and Tat, and Tat's got the knee, and Strat, I'm rolling with the story he's got of his vulnerability, and throughout the match, I had him kind of look a little weak, like Mancini making tap, and then Demi throws Tat in there to sort of help break up the submission attempt. And then at the end of the match, Cat's got him dead to right. Demi grabs Cat's foot, giving Stratford the opportunity to jump up and get the strategizer, and then hit Cat with his finisher and get the pin. And that was sort of the thought behind that. And Cat, she still looked strong, so it was a good match. And I told Strat after I read his role play how impressed I was with his ability to adapt. I mean, he's gone from, I don't know if he's going to necessarily get what we're looking for to, okay, he's got it now. His evolution from his first role play to now is incredible. And it just shows his ability to adapt and to work within the rules that have been placed around him. And it's just, it's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was, well, when it comes to the grades, we won't talk about grades, but it did grade out the highest grade we've given so far for both trials, which I think is, overall. Now, individually, we've had some scores, especially like in the Ghost Ship finals, we had some scores individually that were above what we graded his. But in terms of like just the three of us sitting down, reading a role play and grading it in separately and then talking about it like we do, it was the highest, which, just like you said, just hitting all the marks at the right time. And, like I've talked to him about that. And, the thing is, like, I don't know that we're necessarily helping you to be a better writer. But like what you said, as far as like what we're looking for a 2K role play in Triad, he's getting very close to about as good as you can get with that. So for those that are coming up against him in the next set of matches, just look out. You got a front runner there. But at the same time, and not to take anything away, but, last week, or the last show, I should say, we kind of said the same thing about Dadbot. Like, like, hey man, this hit on all four cylinders. It was amazing. The first role play, and this week was very strong. But again, it was just a matter of who maybe the opponents were more than anything, and how much more they stepped their game up. Because I thought, as far as Mancini is concerned, I thought that was the best role play we've seen from them, from that handler. And Cortez, I don't know if it was their best, but it was on par with everything they've done so far, which landed them in the finals in the first place. So, just really, like, that was, there's always one match on each show that you're kind of like, when you start to grade, and like you said with Mancini, like third place for that role play, just not fair, because like it's such a good role play, but that's just nature of the beast, and hopefully maybe the schedule will work out more in their favor moving forward, so it's kind of rewards them later.
I would just tell Mancini, just keep doing what you did last week, and you're going to win more than you lose. That Stratford role play, one of the first times I've seen all three of us just come in with our grades, being like, that was really good. I can't say anything too negative. Normally you'll have one or two good grades, and then you'll have someone come in there with just this really low score, and you're like, what? Or you'll have a couple of low scores, and someone comes in really high, you're like, what? But this one was unanimous across the board. And adapting to, like you said, I mean, we're not so arrogant as to say we're making you better writers, but it is our style, and the sign of a really talented writer is the ability to adapt to whatever style and whatever guidelines they're working under. And if you're unable to adapt to that, then you're a one note or a two note writer. But to be a full note writer, you have to be able to adapt. And Stratford's done that. It's been very impressive, and I'm very, very pleased. And I hate to say that we're proud, like I'm his dad or something, but I mean, I'm proud of the work he's put in and how much he's evolved since the beginning. So.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. All right, so that takes us to the main event. We had Harvey Marks, Sarah Wolf, Sahara, and Nickelman all going against each other here in another four-way match. And this was the Breath of Naga match. So some people maybe didn't quite understand the stip going into the match. So if you could maybe just talk about that and how you weaved a little bit of the feedback that you got last time about not necessarily overdoing it with the mythological aspect of Triad.
Yeah, well, it's basically a ladder match. You just climb a ladder, or you get up to the mouth of a Naga, a dragon, a mythical dragon in Cambodian lore, and you light its mouth on fire. I was surprised people didn't get it because I thought it was fairly straightforward, but it's just a ladder match. You just got to get out there, climb up, and set the thing's mouth on fire. And Yeah, the mythical elements. Yeah, I pulled back. I don't think there was hardly anything in the show outside of vodka's Vincent Black's crotch, and then and then whatever, and then the rain falling on the fire at the end of the show
Yeah.
to kind of allude to the tears to come. I made it more of a wrestling show inside of a strange environment versus this, I don't know, sort of like magical thing happening. But it was a fun match. It was nice to have a match where there weren't multiple pinfalls, so I could get in and out fairly quickly. You know, not to say I rushed through it, but a ladder match, go 4 or 5K, and it'll read like a 8 or 9K multi elimination match.
Sure.
But it was fun writing. I had a good time. Ladder matches are fun as long as you don't overdo them. And with and in this match, I figured Harvey and Nickel would go at each other. The two big guys trying to see who could out muscle who, and then Sahara decides to go try to set the mouth on fire and gets all the fans to try to climb on top of each other so she can get on top and get there. And then Wolf goes after and they fight, and then Harvey goes out there and they got to try to stop Harvey. And he's this giant figure, and they cut him off at the knees. And Nickelman comes back in there and he has some spots off the Naga. And then Alias wanted to interfere, and we thought since he's got a history with Nickelman, that would be the one to do it against. Mm-hmm. So we set that spot up, which took Nickelman out of the match. And then the final spot, I think, was Sahara running up the ladder, spinning orange mist into Harvey's face, and doing a suicide dive off the top of the Naga onto Harvey, taking him off the ladder, and then giving Sarah the opportunity to limp in there, climb up, set them up on fire, and then win the match. And then everything set up delays, looked like they were going to be consumed by flames, and then the rain comes down to set up to Chrome. The biggest decision I made with all of this was second and third place. How do you do that? In this match, how do you decide that in character? And I thought about having them like little dragon mouths, and I thought I don't want to do that. That's going to get way too convoluted. It's going to be too much. So I said, let's do a fan vote. We'll do a fan vote. And initially, I was going to have Welch hack in there, or all this guy hack in there. That would be like 99.999 Sahara. But I thought, no, that's too much. And then I talked to Cypher, because he's going to be in the WIT trials. And I asked him, you want to, have something to do with this? He said, yeah, that'd be cool. So we decided to pivot and do that little video just for fun. And with the allegation being that Cypher hacked in there for Welch and got Sahara the not over marks and Nickelman. So that was the whole thing behind that. So
cool, good deal. And as far as again, not going over the role plays, in depth, but another one of those matches where it was pretty competitive. I thought, the numbers kind of they were all very similar, in the same range. Maybe a slight bit lower than what match 3 was as far as overall grading, but it was still really, really good stuff from everybody. And one of those things, I think, like you said, with the match type itself, it kind of led to, it was difficult to come up with a plausible way to give out points. It was easy to find a winner. Probably the easiest match to get a winner, honestly. But in terms of how do we list out those points without it making it just completely ridiculous, which I thought you did a good job with the fan vote and all that. So kudos to you there. It was funny. The next day, Stratford messaged me asking when we would tell them the results of the fan vote, because he wants to keep track of the points. And I said, Bud, it was up there last night. He didn't even see it on the board. So I don't know how many. I don't know how many people maybe were in his same boat where they didn't quite realize that it was there, basically right when the show was posted, right, or shortly after.
Yeah, because I was taking my little vacation starting, Thursday morning. So after I got the show up, I wanted to get that up as quick as possible, and I wanted to change everything over with the banner on the board and the threads and stuff. So yeah, I got it all up that night. So I was going to tweet it out, but then I thought, I thought that would kind of be spoilerish. So I left it in the thread, and then the next day I was just clocked out, and I didn't go back to tweet it out.
Yeah, all good. But yeah, so that was everything was posted that night, and it was all part of I mean, I think people know that there was no actual fan vote, that
No.
we wouldn't take that into consideration or whatnot. So
Yeah.
um,
And if it was a fan vote, I don't think Sahara would have won. Probably would have won in a landslide.
yeah, that's true. True enough. So yeah, so that was it. And in terms of overall response to the show, I do think it was very positive. I thought a lot of people kind of enjoyed this one a little better. I definitely think it helped you to not have to write or not have to feel obligated to write as long of a match.
Mm-hmm.
Which keeps you fresh a little bit, and also for the folks reading, I don't think it lost any luster. Maybe in some ways, according to some of the feedback we got, it might have even enhanced the experience for them. So overall, I think it was a great show. We're moving. It's crazy to believe we're already at the halfway mark of strength when we only have wit to go. So we are.
Yeah.
Well,
we're at the halfway point of the entire thing, just about.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. We set out to do something for a full year, and wow, it's been a long. Yeah, you're right. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. About the length of the matches. When I was in OCW, when I wrote pay-per-view matches, people would type who 2K role plays for the pay-per-view matches, and my goal was to give them what they put in. So my marker was 4K each match, and they go to 5K, and some might get to 6, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of, so you get used to typing a certain length, and then in TRIAD, I thought, well, I'm going to make every match a pay-per-view match, because that's sort of the thing. This is such a big deal.
Yeah.
So the basis was like a 4K, but then with the eliminations, you just get kind of carried away, and it's the same thing. Some of these handlers have issue with cutting down on their work. Now, it could seem like an easy thing. Like, all right, less. Okay, yeah, but it's difficult because you get used to conveying certain things in the matches that now you might need to cut back on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm making a concerted effort to trim things down at least maybe a quarter, from what they were, and the feedback I got from the night 5 I used to the best of my ability, and it's nice to hear that there weren't really any public complaints. There might have been some stewing in DMs and stuff. You never know, but the vibe, feels much better.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course, we kind of each of us took a step back over the weekend. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning, which helps, keeps you a little bit fresh, but also it made me seem like a lot of people did the same thing, because I didn't see a lot of activity on the Discord. So might be a good thing for everybody just to take a step back and recharge, refuel, and get ready for this coming week, which is not right now the time to preview, but it is what we've internally been calling it bragging rights night, where all of the draft picks are going against each other based off of the round they were drafted in. So each match is a round 4 match, or a round 3 match, or round 2, or round 1. And so you're pitting people who conceivably are, basically the same skill level, or at least draft wise. I mean, it's not a perfect science by any means, but all the ones are going against each other, all the 2s, all the 3s. And so it's definitely one of those bigger weekly kind of shows that we have the way it's set up. So something to really go into over the next few days. Hopefully they're busy writing, and we're getting ready to see some really cool stuff over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Tears of the Chrome match, I guess I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll just get it out of the way now. We'll just preview now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll do it. So we'll start with match 1. I've got it pulled up here so that my failing brain doesn't fail me like it usually does off memory. You got Sahara. Well, first of all, this is the last event where until the pay-per-view, where we'll have 4-ways.
Yes.
Night 8 is going to be all tag action. So this is the last fatal four-way matches throughout the regular match of the tournament. So first match, Sahara, Dad Bod, Bacchus, and Knox. And you got two wrestlers there who have a win under the belt. You've got Bacchus who's looking to bounce back, and you've got Knox who could have won a lot of matches with that rope play he posted last week. And Team CLS, they need the points. Prime in the lead. Yeah, that's going to be a really good match. Just looking at it right now, thinking about the grading. More gray hairs are starting to appear in my beard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that one's a big one. Each one of them have put out tremendous stuff. I think the first week probably Sahara and Bacchus were they were tops. They were in the top, I don't know, top 5, top 10 of what we had there. And then this last week, and Dadbot of course was number 1 that first week. And then we didn't even see Knox the first one, but last week Knox came out firing. So if each of them puts out what we've already seen them put out, and of course I think Bacchus has already posted, but I haven't read it yet, and I think Sahara maybe as well. But if they put out anything close to what we've already seen from them, yeah, that's going to be a banger of an opening match.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read Bacchus's role play this go around because from what I understand, he was very excited about the match and the next role play and the feedback. And I'm really eager to see what he puts down because I feel like with Stratford, once he gets it, he's going to be very, very hard to beat.
I agree. And so that takes us to match 2, which is these were what we considered. Now, keep this in mind with the triumvirate. There were no draft picks. Bacchus was the 4th that was put on the team, so that's why he was considered 4th. And the only way to really quote even it out would be to go off of the bravery rankings, which Wolf did edge Stratford out for the 2nd spot. So this next match is, even though it's the 2nd match of the night, it is the number 2 draft picks for each team. So you have Mancini, Dickie Watson, Sarah Wolf, and Dionysus going against each other.
Yeah. When I look at this match, I see Wolf with a win under her belt and a lot of success in the bravery trials, and I see Mancini, Dionysus, and Watson. I see 3 extremely gifted riders who are ready to break out and get that win. And it's going to be interesting to see if Wolf can hold them off, or of those 3, which one gets it. Dionysus, he's got some tough luck because he's run up against some really talented role players. Watson is kind of like Bacchus in that the handler is still adjusting to the format, but the riding is stellar. And Mancini, Mancini would have won 90% of the triad matches with his role play last time. So, it's gonna be a good one.
Yep, I agree. Everybody's they're all kind of right there. It's kind of like I want to say it this way, but it's like the match where somebody is about to break out. You feel like there's 4 riders that have all of course Wolf just won, but they're right there on the cusp of turning it up that extra notch that we're looking for, and so that could be the match where we really start to see a breakout star for the and it's kind of like last time that Wolf took that mantle, I think. Week 3,
night 3 when Wolf took off.
Yeah, and so. Here they are in that same spot again almost, and then you have 3 other challengers who want to do the same thing. So I think the winner of this match will probably not necessarily driver's seat on the rest of the way, but they'll definitely have a leg up maybe against some competition.
Yeah, and just from a riding perspective, Mancini against Dionysus will be fun because they're both these sort of these menacing, strong, powerful figures. And then you got Watson flying around and Wolf fighting people. So, it'll be fun. Yeah.
So, and then match 3 then is the 3rd picks going against each other, and that's Harvey Marks, Seb, Spencer Adams, and Steven Stratford. Which, with where he's at right now, if we were betting, I think the betting odds would be in Stratford's favor. Not to say anything about the other 3 negatively, because each of them are phenomenal riders, but they definitely have their work cut out this week.
Yeah, Stratford is definitely the favorite. I think Seb is one that, if he can adjust a few things, could take the biggest jump because he is a very talented rider.
Mm-hmm.
He just has a few, Spencer Adams, if he can make a leap from night 6 to 7, similar to the one he made from 5 to 6, I mean, he could. I mean, it was a pretty big jump he took from the first event to the second. So we'll see. And Marks is improving too. I mean, it's Stratford who's at the top, and then you got these three talented riders who are all improving, and they've got a lot more room to improve than Stratford does.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they put down. I mean, it always is interesting, especially when we give the detailed feedback that we do. It's always exciting to see, especially from the ones that have some room to grow, how they take the feedback and what their next role play looks like.
Yeah, I think what's kind of interesting here, and that's what made Adams do so well last time around. But if you think back to the first round of trials, the thing that we kept telling Stratford, especially early on, was who we want to see this character. We want to see who Steven Stratford is. And we're, like we've talked about how much he's improving as far as like what we're looking for in terms of showing us that character development, that growth as a human being dealing with the trials and all that. And, last week we saw Adams and his family dynamic, which we hadn't seen the first time around. And so that was a nice little jump. And we're starting to see that because internally, that's what we've kind of said about Marks and Seb both was, these are really strong writers, but we don't know the characters. Sometimes maybe it's taken for granted that people who've been around, so to speak, the EFED world, that a lot of their character background, and we actually don't. Like, at least I don't. I kind of stayed in that little bubble. So it's always nice. I don't necessarily need a recap or a revisit of who you are as a character, but it's always nice to see the layers start to get peeled back. And it's not just the facade that you're showing me, but it's who this person is underneath. And, Marks, we're getting to see a little bit more the mafia type thing and where all of that sort of played in his past. And again, like I said, with Seb, we're seeing his ancestry and how this is kind of, in some ways, this triad thing has been in his DNA the whole time, and he didn't know it, which I think is a cool idea. Like, you take something you're doing and put that into the canon of your character. So it's all really good stuff, and like I said, we're like any other match. It's going to be exciting to see who steps up and where the chips fall. But definitely at the moment, anyway, Stratford. And one of the things I will say that I did have a discussion with him about is, how do you, if peak's the right word, but if you peak early, how do you continue to either raise the bar or at least to maintain? Which it's going to be difficult because if you have a situation where every single role play has the exact same setting, or every role play is the same two people talking, even if it's the best written piece of anything, it can come off stale. Or a retread, like, if you want a movie where the sequel is basically the exact same movie, but with a slightly different setting or something like that. You don't want to have the feeling of, oh, well, I've read this already. Even if it's done well, you just don't want to have that. So his challenge is going to be to how to freshen it up and stay within the story that he wants to tell. And so, it could be a situation where maybe there's more opportunity for the others because he did so well last time. You never know.
Yeah. My advice to anybody who gets to maybe the peak of what their Fed head is looking for, which Stratford did last event, because I guess there could be a perfect role play, but you can't. You get to a certain level, and that's about as high as you can get. Perfection is one of these things that it just happens. So if you get to that level where Stratford, Vodka, and a couple others are, just stay at that level, and And if you achieve perfection, it's just going to happen because you've been at that level for so long. You just happen to write it down the perfect role play.
Mm-hmm.
But if you sit there and you try to improve upon being at the peak, then you're going to try too hard, and then you might fall back down.
Yeah.
So you're at the top, so just stay there and just keep doing what you're doing and perfect. It's like a bowler who bowls a perfect game. Mm-hmm. 270, 280, 265, whatever. But they don't change it. They just keep bowling. And eventually the 300 happens. So I wouldn't look at it as how do I get better. I would look at it as keep doing what you're doing. And eventually maybe the perfect role play will happen. But when you're at that level, just keep doing what you're doing. And that's the advice I would give. Don't, just keep doing it. Doing what you're doing. Don't mess with it. Don't try too hard.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. That's what I always would tell. Back in OCW, a lot of those younger guys that who I'm talking about that came in and really hadn't, because it's very rare in this game, I think anyway, that you find someone who's just new to it. Seems like everybody has a similar story where I've done it for 25 years and whatever. But when you do get those younger guys in and they're not used to, number one, they're not used to losing and responding to that, or maybe they don't know how to deal with it. That was always my advice was, you write what you think is good. And then once it's graded, you find out if that's what they were looking for. And if it's what he's looking for, then you just keep giving them what he's looking for. Keep giving him what tastes good until the taste changes. And, if the taste changes, then you change with it,
Exactly. And we might tell Stratford, look, man, you're writing as good, if not better, than anybody in TRIAD. And then he could lose his next match, and he might be like, well, I thought you said I was good. And like, we are, but somebody just came in with a little bit. Sometimes you just get beat too. When you're at the level he's at, I wouldn't mess with too much. I would just keep doing what you're doing. Don't overthink it. Don't try to add anything to improve. Just keep doing what you're doing because it's working. And when you're in a groove and it's working, just stay in that groove.
And one thing I want to add, I was going to mention this and forgot until now, so it doesn't necessarily fit right now. Mm-hmm. Let's try to lay off of the bar room role play for a while.
That's the holidays, man. Everybody's drinking,
Which it's fine. Like, I don't care if you're drinking, but it just like this past week especially, it felt like we had like 3 or 4.
It was a lot.
And they weren't. It's completely unintentional. It's this is my character is going to go to a bar or like in Dionysus's case, like he kind of has to because that's part of the story.
Yeah.
But there are other places that people can be other than just bars. So hopefully we do see a little variety of setting, if nothing else. Because again, it's just like for you, your character may have only been to a bar once in the last 20 times you've written a role play. But if it's the 4th role play I've read this week with a person in a bar, even if I'm fighting against it, it could potentially have a negative effect. Just subconsciously, it's like, gosh, I've read this already, and it's not your fault, but just be creative.
Yeah, like try to. And I don't want to go against what I just said about don't try too hard, but I know like when you're doing art, try to see things through a different lens. Try to be different. Try to come up with things that maybe other people won't come up with. If the standard promo is a wrestling ring, then don't do a wrestling ring. Look at it from another perspective. And those will get noticed. The more different, the more different you are, the more unique settings and ideas you come up with, the more you're going to stand out. Mm-hmm. So don't. People spend a lot of time writing these promos, and then they'll just throw a setting together, and it's like, you spend all this time dissecting your opponents, and then you just throw it together that you're at a bar, or that you're at a gym. When just come up with something. Just come up with a different. Like if you got to be at a bar, don't be at the bar. Be at a distillery or something where you're watching them make the beer. It's just different. Just do a little. Just spin it a little bit to where it's not what everybody else is doing. Don't take the low-hanging fruit in art. Look at it from a different perspective and attack it from a different angle, and you'll be surprised. You'll stand out, and you'll get rewarded.
And I think maybe that's a great segue into this main event that we have, because this is a match with
Yeah.
four people that do exactly what we're talking about. You've got Alias, Cat Cortez, Vodka, Nickelman, and when you were talking about being the different settings, immediately I thought of Cat. The character
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
just seems to be able to morph into any situation, um, as kooky or wacky as it may be. I mean, they had a role play on the ghost ship on the Atalanta, talking to a ghost. They had a role play um, before that was, um, you know, they were like kidnapped, right? And they're
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
live
The tank
streaming
or
from
whatever.
their own kidnapping. Just
Yeah.
things that just are kind of like completely out of the box, but creatively they really work, because that character can just kind of be thrown into anything. And it's really the
Mm-hmm.
responses to those scenarios that make the promo so strong. And the same with Vodka, the way that she's able to basically just put that character anywhere and
Mm-hmm.
succeed. I think Alias has a great way of doing that with the time travel thing, being able to come in and out, and you're seeing so many different. I don't quite understand it sometimes with the Minotaur and daughter and whatever else is going on, but it's like it's him, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. And then you have Nickelman, who has always, since I've known him back in OCW days, been able to break the norm and kind of come at scenarios sometimes from a different perspective. And even in the mundane, he's a really good writer who can take a what is a real world situation of a broken family, going to court and dealing with all of that sort of thing. And I think the one thing that always is kind of lacking for Nickelman is any sort of redemptive quality in the character, which,
Yeah.
I mean, we know people in wrestling who are just dicks all the time, but I think the vulnerable aspect and maybe layering the character, which I think he's kind of moving toward. I don't want to jump the gun and say that it's not happening, because I do think there's some redemption in Nickelman at some point, but it just they're all so good at the setting aspect, and they're all really good promos. So I think um, if I had to pick a match that's probably going to be the hardest to grade, this one's going to be it. But we'll see.
Yeah. Just kind of looking at the graphic here on the forum. My God. Alias, Cortez, Vodka, and Nickelman. Um, Good luck grading that. you know, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Alias. This is Alias's biggest test. I mean, he's 6-0 for good reason, but he hadn't run up against Vodka yet. And I don't believe he's run up against somebody at Cortez yet either. And that's not to diminish who he's run up against, but I mean, you got to be extremely good to beat Vodka and Cortez. So it's going to see how he handles that. And then Nickelman, he's a wild guy. If Nickelman can just sort of get it together, he's got a chance to hang in there. I like his writing. I like his creativity. He can be he definitely is outside the box with some stuff.
Yeah.
I was pulling something up to kind of go with what you said. I saw this the other day. It was the Kurt Vonnegut's 8 Basics of Creative Writing. And it says right here, number 2, give the reader at least one character he or she can root for. And like I said about Nickelman, like, you don't like anybody in this shit. Maybe, and so it makes it kind of like, well, who am I rooting for here?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have someone in there that's fleshed out, too. It can't just be some throwaway character. It's got to be a legitimate character in the writing that you can pull from. And there's nothing in there with this. But I don't want to sit here and critique his shit on there. He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
This match is going to be interesting. It's the Tears of Papon. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Match. There's a moat inside this temple that's called the Tears of Papon, and it's I don't know, cursed, or I have to look more into it. But basically, this match is going to be these 4 brawling, and when you get knocked into the moat, you're eliminated. And you have to stay in that moat. So you're floating that moat while the other spot, you can reach in and try to pull people in, and And the last person standing that does not go in the moat wins the match. So it's like a rumble, kind of.
Yeah.
Instead of get thrown over the top, everybody get thrown into the moat. And the people who get thrown into the moat can hang around like lumberjacks, and they can't get out of the moat, but they can reach in or reach out and try to grab people. So that's the stipulation for this match. For those of you who are unaware, and I will, I'll post something like I did on the Bravery Trials on the the CD form or the OC form, I guess, or Tribune, explaining it.
Cool. I think it kind of gives you like the Bash at the Beach vibe a little bit. Didn't they used to do something like that? With maybe there was like a pool or.
Oh yeah, they had the ring out over the water, and they get thrown in there while they were all wearing their like their beach shirts, and they were all probably drunk and high. So it's good times.
Probably, yeah. So yeah, that's night 7. Tears of Tuprom or Tuprom. I'm not sure how exactly that is either, but it's going to be exciting. Like I said, it's what we call the bragging rights show. I think everybody kind of wants to win against the people that were drafted, on the same level that they were. So it's definitely a time to really step up. And midway through this round, we had. Last time around, we had the front runners, which you had Vodka, Thad, and Cat. I think were on top from day one last time around. But this was the time where you did start to see some movement. With, like we said, Sarah Wolf took the biggest jump all the way up to second spot on their team. You had Penelope last time around really started to kick things into gear for my team. Knox was always doing well, so. It's just one of those nights where could really take you to the next level and put you in a spot where you might win out and put yourself in the finals, which is we've got the individual award of winning and being in the Illuminatus, but you also have the team aspect, which I think the scores are really close. I mean, we have the Triumvirate in the lead right now. I think Welsh is 2 points behind. And then I'm 2 points. My team's 2 points behind that. And then you had Team TLS really took a jump this past week. I think they scored 5 or 6 or something. Yeah, just a lot of points. So it's another week where things could shake out a little differently, and the
individual races are very like you said. Thad, Cat, and Vodka kind of took hold and just almost kind of. They let them start, But when you look at Triumvirate, you've got Strat with 5, Vodka with 5, Wolf with 4, and Bacchus with 2. I mean, they're all kind of bunched up there.
Yeah.
With Welsh, you've got Sahara and who's my other one in there? Sahara
and Cat both have 5.
Cat, yeah. Sahara and Cat with 5. And then you've got Watson and Seb with 2, so they're not too far behind.
Mm-hmm.
And Cat, I'm going to top. And then you're the you got the most separation with Alias sitting there at 6, and I think it's Dad Bod with 3.
Yeah.
Dionysus with 2, and Marks with 1. And then Team TLS, I mean, they're all bunched up. I think it's Mancini with 2, Knox with 2, Adams with 2, and then Nickelman with 0. So I mean, Nickelman could win next week. And they all can lose. Nickelman's got the lead in the damn TLS division. So
yeah, that's definitely the most wide open race.
Very tight. Yeah, it's very tight. Even your division, Aliens could easily finish 3rd or 4th in his match, stay at 6, and then Dad Bob wins, or Dionysus wins, and then Dionysus has suddenly at 5, and he's only one behind Aliens. So this thing is wide open individually.
Which is a good thing. That's kind of what you want. I mean, as much as someone would individually want to dominate and just say that they beat everybody. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to what we're trying to do here, we want people to be in it and feel like they have skin in the game when it comes down to the last show. It's a good thing. And of course, the team aspect is going to be huge. Because, the Triumvirate have already, except for Bacchus, they've already punched their ticket in. So you're looking at all these other people who want a shot at the Illuminatus because, even if you can't win this trial, it takes one role play to win this whole thing, if you think about it. But you got to be one of the people in it. So
Yeah.
that's the trick. If you can get in, even if you're squeaking in at spot number 13 or 14 or whatever we end up having, um, that one role play you write could make the difference. And here you are sitting there with the whole triad, even if you didn't do the best, early on. So it's a big thing.
Yeah.
We're excited about it. Role play deadline is Sunday this week. I know with the holiday, it kind of confused some people, but it is this week, this Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, and we're looking forward to it. Post early. Let us read something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, get it done before Thanksgiving if you can, and then you can just sit back and chill the rest of the weekend, watch football, recover from that food coma, do whatever it is you do during these holiday weekends. So.
All right. Well, I guess we got one last thing to do, and that is the tribulations.
The tribs.
The tribs. So it's kind of anticlimactic.
That name grows on me every time I hear it. First time I heard it, I thought that's stupid. Now I'm like, okay, it's growing on me. The tribs.
It's the trials and tribulations, man. It's perfect.
Yeah. It is. It fits like a glove. If the glove fits, then you whatever. So let's keep going.
Well, this week's a little anticlimactic. Last week we had what was probably the craziest thing to do on a live radio and find out that somebody tied. We don't have any of that sort of thing going on here, and I know that even if Wallaby and Cross are out there listening, they know at the end of the day that they both are advancing because they were the only two who chose to participate this past week. We did have an invitation out to Thad Duke, which it makes sense that he didn't want to participate. He's already in the Illuminatus. And he's the kind of person and writer that if he wanted in wit, he could just probably throw his name in the hat and he's got a good shot at being drafted. So, so it makes sense there. You had Veronica Strader-Kane, who they opted not to participate. And we had Lachlan Kane from the Bravery Trials, who also chose not to participate, which is completely okay. No harm, no foul. But we're left with Cross and Wallaby. So even though we do know that they are both moving on, the whole point of us doing it this way was to give you guys a taste of how our grading works. So we're going to go ahead and grade these two role plays, talk about what we like, talk about what we'd like to see moving forward. And and that'll kind of finish up, I think, for the show. So which one do you want to do first?
Let's go in order of posting. So let's do Wallaby first.
Okay. You want to start it out?
Yeah. All right. So for promo, I gave Wallaby a 3.5. Basically, the whole thing was kind of a promo. So I was maybe a little lenient on it. I felt the promo was light and sort of just kind of thrown together. But given that the 2,000 words that he wrote, all 2,000 were promo, I said, all right, you get 3.5. Readability, I gave it another 3.5. Again, it felt very rushed and very thrown together. But in reading it, some of the stuff did make me laugh. He does have a good sense of humor, and I can see where if he would sit down and put some effort into it, that it would make for a very entertaining read. But I gave it 3.5. And then for story, I gave him 3. Like, there wasn't much there. He's standing around with kangaroos. There wasn't a whole lot to it.
Wallabies.
So
he was with wallabies. Come on. You didn't even read it.
No, whatever, man. It's the upside down, all right? It's Australia. Nobody cares about that place. It doesn't even exist. But that's a 10 out of 15. The one thing I'll say about this is it felt like something you would write when you've got like 30 minutes and you forgot you got to write something. You sit down and you just write it about as fast as you can. You just throw it down. You don't give it a whole lot of thought and effort, and you just kind of throw it together. That's kind of what it felt like to me. If Wallaby asked me, all right, what do I need to do to try to win the match to pay-per-view, I would just tell him, you need to take your time. You need to plan something out. You need to get some depth, some story, actually put some effort into it, and then do some research on your opponents to toughen up that promo a little bit. I do. He's got that gift in the writing and the narration and stuff in between lines where it is interesting when he's just writing stuff. It does come across like he's got personality in his words,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just so slipshod or slapdash, whatever term you use, just thrown together that it was hard to really give this a high grade. He just got to take more time, put more effort into it, and then we might have something. So
Yeah, I agree. So I gave him a 3.75 for promo. A lot of what you said kind of resonated the same with what I thought. I thought that it was essentially a promo. It's kind of interesting because you had the promo where he's just basically talking, or thinks he's talking to wallabies. I don't know that we're actually hearing what the wallabies are saying back to him. I think it's kind of all in his head, but at least that was my interpretation. Um, which was an interesting dynamic. But then there was more promo. It was like the promo ended, and then he started talking individually,
yeah,
like a normal promo. And so I did appreciate the focus on the opponents. I think there was a thought out that, hey, these are the people that I'm going against, and overall the idea that I think he talked a little bit about Raven and how Raven had knocked out Rue, and just kind of going around on the whole um, thing that was kind of going on Twitter right around the time everybody was enlisting and stuff like that. So it was nice. But yeah, there wasn't much meat to it. And like you said, it was pretty much the whole thing as far as the promo goes. So 3.75 there. Readability, I also gave a 3.75. It wasn't a hard read by any means, but it definitely, I think, suffered potentially from the fact that it was just all one person talking. I think sometimes for me, the longer the dialogue or monologue, in some cases, I guess what was happening here, just when you see that big long paragraph, or even if it's cut up, but it's just that same person speaking over and over again, it does kind of get lost a little bit, or I get lost in it. And then I gave a three for CD, basically again because nothing much was happening. He's just sitting around talking to a bunch of animals, and then he goes and gets a promo at the end. So I had it at 10.5. You had it at 10, so that's a 10.25 overall. I think you kind of hit already about what you'd like to see. For me, when I read this, and I think I maybe mentioned it to you a minute ago, but there's a difference between a comedy character and a joke. And I think at this point, with what we saw in this role play, not to say that the character itself is a joke, but this role play kind of felt like a joke. It wasn't. It wasn't. I am Groot for 2,000 words. It wasn't that egregious by any means. But it was just kind of like you said. I sat down. I threw it together. I was trying to be funny, and in some ways he succeeded. It was humorous at times, but I want to see the ferocity of the character come through in some way or another. Like, we have. I'll give you an example. We have Dad Bod in the trials right now. And to the naked eye, you could see that character and say, well, what about that character has potential to be a success in wrestling? Well, he gives us pieces of, the throwaway line where the captain of the wrestling team broke his neck. And how it wasn't because he was wrestling, it was because Dad Bod did it. Little things that give us a glimpse that this is not a joke character, that he should be taken seriously, even if the surroundings are more of a humorous, situation. And I think Wallaby on this particular role play could definitely benefit from showing us what makes him a viable threat to his opponents. Not just talk about the opponents, but what specifically are we going to see this character do to be successful in a wrestling match? I'd love to see that in a promo. Readability, I would like a lot more back and forth with somebody potentially. And I think the CD can be really freshened up. There's so many things you can do with this kind of character. Probably the kind of character that's easy to write a throwaway role play for. But I want to see, you got one shot at this pay-per-view now, to prove your mettle and to get into the whip trials. So, this was the second role play I read from them. They did write for the Ghost Ship. They did for the Battle Royal,
Mm-hmm.
and it was good. It was really good in that one, and I'd like to see this turned up, and I want to see a more serious side to the character. If we can see that with, obviously now his opponents are, we've got Jaymont, Ricky Rodriguez, Alexander Raven, and now also Cross added to the mix. So those are four formidable opponents. It's not going to win just by standing around talking to a bunch of wallabies.
No, I mean, no offense, but like, yeah, I mean, you got to put more effort into it in this. Give it some heart, give it some meat, give it something that we can root for or that we can relate to. Just give us a story that is compelling and not just, I don't know, just whatever. Something that's just thrown together without any thought or very little energy. So.
And so that takes us to Cross. I'll just go ahead and start, and then you can throw your thoughts in there. But for Cross's role play, I thought that the kind of suffered from the same issue in terms of the promo was basically it. It was it was one voice the whole time. We heard from him. It's kind of like a darkroom promo, which doesn't have a whole lot of creativity on the CD side of things. He did brighten it up a little bit with some flashbacks to some matches and some things from the past to kind of give us an idea of who the character is as a fighter. And I think that's where the two differ. With Wallaby, I didn't really get a sense of how that character was going to be physical. And with Cross, I think that's all I got, was that this is going to be a character that can be taken seriously inside of the ring, but I don't have much by way of who the character is as a person. So for promo, I gave a 3.75. Readability was 4. This one was slightly, for me, easier to read than Wallabies. Still lacking because there was just a one voice, but it did, it gave me the flashback and pieces there. And then CD, I kind of kept it around a 3. I thought the same thing with, just needs to be brightened up. Get out of the room, do something. And then this is just a minor thing. It's not the biggest deal ever, but for me, if you show me a flashback, I love to be in the moment. So fight to put something from the past still in present tense. Make it clear that you flash back. Don't do something crazy where it's just in and out and nobody really knows. But it helps with tense issues. Not that I don't really know if there was a whole lot here or not, but I know we've had some people that have that concern where they're in the present and then it's the past and it's the present, and so sometimes it's past tense, present tense. But I think it would benefit to just immerse me in the action. Let me see it live. Don't tell me about it. Don't allude to what it used to be. Just put me there. And I think the better role players that we are seeing have the ability to just kind of just bounce in and out of present tense, past tense, and it really works well when it's done right. I think there's some meat there. The sample role play was really strong from this character, from this writer. I know that it's there. The writing was good. I just would like to see more things, I guess, overall happening. So for this one, I gave a 10.75. For me, it was slightly better than Wallabies this week, but still a lot of room to grow.
Yeah. Promo, I gave him 4. Like Wallabies, it was almost all promo, and I thought his writing was just a little deeper, a little more detailed than Wallabies, so I gave his promo a 4. Readability, I gave it a 3.75. I thought Wallabies was a quicker read, but again, I thought Cross just put more time and effort into his work than Wallaby did, so I rewarded him for an extra 0.25. And story, I gave it a 3.5, half a point higher than Wallaby. There wasn't much story there, but he did give us some backstory into his character. So that gave him a little bit of a bump, because it did show me that he was a former champion who wanted to get out. Now he's getting back in, struggling to to get back to where he was, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So that's a what I would tell him moving forward is this read like something that a segment you would see in a show.
Mm-hmm.
It was 100% wrestling centric. So do something like this and put it in the show as like a vignette for the debuting Cross. The role play should be more of a story, more of an actual piece of dramatic writing or creative writing. This is a vignette. This is like Triad cuts the commercial, and here's Mark Cross in the locker room, untaping his fist, thinking back on his wars, talking about how he's coming back to the ring. That's what this was. So I feel like this would have been great in a show, but not in a role play. A role play to me needs to be more of a creative work of fiction that shows the character, interactions, the story, plot, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I would just say cut down the promo, maybe 1/4 of the promo, and then give us a story. He can do it because the sample role play had a story in it. So yeah, what was that? 6, 10, 1.2. That's 11.25 is what I got for him.
Okay. So that puts him right at 11 as far as the grade would go then, with my 10.75. So, neither one were terrible. Neither one were really bad. It's just a matter of when you contrast maybe those two role plays with what we're seeing week in, week out for the trials, and you definitely are seeing a difference. And so it's something that they can work toward, and they're not getting. It's kind of hard, I think, maybe to role play ice cold into something where neither one of them have written for us. They've never had any feedback from us in terms of this is what I like, this is what I don't like. So they're just kind of coming in blind and joining the party, so to speak, when it comes to Triad, which we do appreciate anybody that wants to be part of it. That's kind of why we did this, was to get familiar with the people who clearly want to do something with us, but maybe we don't know them very well. We don't know their writing styles. And so hopefully, they take these things to heart. The good news is for both of them, they are both advancing. And so they have an opportunity to clean some things up and really show us what they have for the pay-per-view, which is we're still a couple weeks away. Probably it's December 31st, isn't it? It's
New Year's.
Yeah, so it's New Year's. So, that last week between Christmas, New Year's is when the role play deadline will be. So you've got a couple of months, or a month and a half, I guess, to think about what you're going to do. And hopefully we'll see some really strong stuff from these guys.
Yeah, and I would tell them, if you listen to this, which I think every e-fetter should listen to a show where their role play is being graded, because e-fetting, if nothing else, is all about ego. But if you hear this and you want more detail, or if you get to writing your pay-per-view role play, and you want to make sure you're on the right track, or you want advice, message us. Just reach out. Like, for me, even though you're not officially part of Triad, you're still part of Triad. Like I'm here. Talk to me, and I'll help you out. It ain't like you're some second-class citizen. So don't be afraid to reach out to ask for advice. Don't be afraid to send in a segment. Maybe get involved to sort of go back to what I was talking about, where like if Mark Cross was to show up and attack Iron ISIS or something, and then beef with them on Twitter, that could create something to grab onto. Or he could attack or he could go after Wallaby or Raven on Twitter and then create a feud there, like Raven did with Root, to carry into the match. And then you got something there to really hold on to and sink your teeth into when you're writing your role play for the pay-per-view. It keeps you from coming in cold when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And you got something to, like you said, you can pull from. You've got some motivation. You've got some ammunition, so to speak. So, that I would definitely encourage that. We want to see more segments, period. This last show was great. I think we had several that came in, and we want to see more. So keep doing what you're doing, but increase or maybe do some collaboration, step outside the box, work with somebody you're not used to working with. Even if they're not on the same team, we want to see this world continue to be established and to grow. And you guys do such a great job across the board of just, indulging us, because this isn't your normal wrestling promotion, and you know it, we know it. I think you wouldn't be here if it was. So
Yeah.
lean into it. I understand, wanting to tone down the supernatural a little bit, but guys, this is a ancient piece of ancient artifact that has the entire world's power essentially, inside of it. So we're gonna have to get crazy at some point. We've already seen Bermuda Triangle ghost ships and um, all kinds of wacky stuff. So it's not going to go crazy, I don't think, but we're definitely going to each week kind of step it up a little bit with that. So just indulge us and enjoy the ride. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's an adventure, that's for sure. Take each event at a time and see where it goes. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to it. So yeah, that's a pretty generic response from myself, but I'm just sitting over here staring at the floor. So
Bobby, what do you think?
well said, Bobby. Well said.
It's great. There's a Fed. What?
Oh, sorry. I was watching the MAC game on a Tuesday night on ESPNU. Oh, okay. Now we'll get back to your action. So.
Oh, we missed him for sure. But anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say. You have anything else?
What you got for Thanksgiving, man? Got any big plans?
Yeah. So Thursday, we go to my wife's family and do that.
Mm-hmm.
That food won't be very good. Well, my wife's cooking this year. She's cooking more, so it'll be better than what it normally is. And then
she's standing at the door now. You had to amend that statement.
Well, she comes from a family, not to talk bad because it's not bad, but they are more of like the canned food variety. They eat the food that you eat for Thanksgiving, but a lot of times it's not seasoned very well, or it's not like a family recipe kind of stuff. It's just kind of like, here, we'll buy the rolls and cook them here, but we'll buy them frozen, or whatever. So it's good, but it's just not. I don't know what the right word is. It's not home cooked, I guess, or not mostly not home cooked. So we'll do that on actual Thanksgiving. And then this weekend, we'll go to my mom's where we've got a little bit more bigger of a family that'll come in. And that's the one where we'll actually have the roasted turkey and the mashed potatoes and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be the one that everything's a little bit more home cooked as far as that goes.
Yeah.
What about you?
Fun, man. I am heading to the casino Thursday morning. I will have a Thanksgiving meal at a seafood restaurant.
Hey.
And then I will have a big juicy steak on Friday, and then I will gamble and do whatever else falls into my lap in between. So.
Awesome. That'll be fun. That's one of those things.
Yeah.
We're doing something different for Christmas this year. We've never done. We've just so traditional with, you just do your family thing, but for Christmas we're going to go to the beach. So
cool, man.
That's going to be our little different thing. So Thanksgiving will be more traditional this year, and then we get to go maybe stick our toes in the sand if it's not too cold.
Was it Home Alone the first or the second where they went to Miami?
So the family went to Miami in the second one,
yeah.
and he went to New York.
Okay, the second. Okay, yeah. I'm thinking you're going to be like Home Alone, except hopefully have all the kids intact.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind going to New York either, but it's a little colder up
there.
But
my sister went to New York last year for Christmas with her husband, and she said it was awesome. I said, well, I bet it was.
Yeah, we go when we've gone, which I make it sound like we go every year, which we don't. But when we've gone, we've like 4 or 5 times. It's always been like the week before Christmas. So it's cold. Sometimes we get some snow, but it's just fun because everything's lit up. You get the tree. You get it just I don't know. There's a million people there, but it just feels like everybody's happy. It's New York. They're not, but it feels that way. And it kind of gives you that movie experience a little bit this time of year.
Yeah, you get to see why they make 75% of the movies in the New York setting. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. Yeah, it's always good to be around family and friends for the holidays. And if you don't, stay busy or something, because the holidays, they can be trying. So yeah, it's good you got some stuff going on, man.
Yeah, for sure. And same to you. Do the whole casino thing. Stay out of trouble.
I'll do my best, man. I'll do my best. No promises. We got Bobby on call in case I can't make it back to write those matches. So.
Oh, well, You definitely need to get back then.
You want shorter matches? Here you go. The entire thing's 500 words. See you next time.
Oh, it'd almost be worth it. We might do that. We might try.
Yeah.
We could
Hey,
always
they might love it. They might be like, you know what?
we could always chat GPT this thing.
Dude, I tried that actually after night five, just out of curiosity. I had it type of match. It actually wasn't too terrible. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because that just goes against everything I believe is my risk. But I was interested to see what it would spit out. And it's scary how advanced that is. I can imagine it's going to be like in 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
Yep. It's definitely crazy how things have transpired like that, man. It's like technology just keeps growing and growing. It's crazy.
Yep, it ain't slowing down. So.
All right, well, let's get off here. It's been fun. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed it. If you have any questions or concerns, hit us up like you always do. And we got deadline this Sunday, and then after that, we've got round 3 of the Tribulations. I guess we could real quick just read off who's in that one.
All right. Who is in that one? I think Parker's in that one finally.
Yeah,
I don't have the graphic in front of me.
I got it here. Here it is.
Okay.
So we have Aaron Blue, potentially. LCP, who's a staple, a triad staple. Is it Max Stone, I think?
Yeah, Maxwell Stone.
Maxwell Stone. Then we had Shazza Nasty. And initially, this was the match that had Knox in it. But due to his inclusion now into the trials, I don't know that he'll be participating in the Tribulations. So there was talk. I was trying to maybe move one of the people from the 4th Tribulation over because it currently has 6. And so we're still maybe looking at that. If it's not finalized before those, well, I guess the window's kind of open now, isn't it? So
yeah, pretty much.
We probably just stay with how it is. So this one's only going to have 4 people in it, and so your odds are greatly increased already. And then if only 2 people post, obviously, then you have 100% odds. So it'll be good.
I figure LCP's got to be a favorite heading into that.
Yeah.
Stone is someone like Mark Cross, who I think is pretty good. I'm here to see if he posts something and what it's like. Aaron Blue was someone who I thought was right on the verge of being drafted, so I hope that they get something up. And then Chad and Matthew, well, we'll see. So the handler is she's a handler. So she's all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be.
It's gonna be exciting. I'm looking forward to those role plays as well. Again, people you don't really know, so you don't know what's coming out. But Shasta Nasty seems like a wild card on Twitter, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's my Thanksgiving go-to.
All right, I hear you. Well, enjoy. For those out there, have a happy Thanksgiving. We will be around in and out, but like Will said, he's going to be out of town on vacation. I'll be with some family, but if you need something, just hit us up and we'll get back with you as soon as we can. Role play deadline this weekend. Enjoy, whatever you do, however you celebrate, if you celebrate, just have a great week, and we will talk to you guys later.
Absolutely. We'll see you later.